Hey guys, Paul here. Welcome to RDTV. Thank you very much, as always, for tuning in. And today we're driving rF2, and we've got another car from the upcoming Reiza Studios DLC bundle pack. We're driving the PUMA P052, a curious, modern, open-top racing car in the spirit of the Mazda MX-5, and we're driving around the 2018 variant of the Imola Grand Prix circuit. I hope you enjoy the video. I hope you enjoy our first look at the upcoming new pack, and I'll see you in a couple of moments when we're trackside. Thank you. Bye bye. And hello again. Not quite sure why I said goodbye at the end of that intro, but never mind. Here we go. Let's go racing. First gear's a good idea, Paul, and we are off. So, this is the PUMA P052, which forms part of the upcoming Reiza Studios Reiza Bundle DLC for rF2. This is one of the bonus cars that came in the pack, so this wasn't part of the original DLC release, but came a little bit after the initial announcement. Oh, bit of harem scarum action there. So it came after the original announcement as an additional piece of content alongside the historic PUMA GTE and the Virginia International Raceway Circuit and the track that we're on now, Imola. But this is the 2018 version of Imola. There's also a 1972, I think, if memory serves me correct, version, which we'll be doing a video on at a later date, so please do stay tuned to RaceDepartment on the RaceDepartment Twitch channel and YouTube channel for that particular video. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty of the content, the usual disclaimer applies. This is an early access beta of the content, so does not represent the fully finished version 1 release that you'll be getting access to in the non-too-distant future in rF2. So what you see on the screen may differ slightly from what you will experience in the finished product. The comments I'm going to make on this car and the handling and the physics and all that good stuff are based on this beta version, so although accurate at the time of reporting, so to speak, bear with us because it could be slightly different in the finished product, and I'm sure it will be. I mean, these cars have gone through an update already since my last video on the what was it? What was the last video I did? On the MCR Sport 2000. So changes are very much in development by Reiza before they think this is in a full version 1 release ready state. But it feels good already, so as I get a little bit of a rear quarter tap, my own fault that one, I closed down his line, and we are P20. A little bit of way to go yet. So we've already driven this car and done a video about it in Automobilista, and this came as a surprise release in AMS, to be honest. The PUMA licensing deal and the cars that came with it as part of that deal for Automobilista came after version 1 development was complete in the title. And PUMA are, if you don't know them already, and if you haven't seen our previous video or engaged in the various sim racing discussion forums, PUMA are a small manufacturer of cars based over in Brazil. So we know the name PUMA from tracksuits and trainers, but actually they're also a car manufacturer over in Brazil. And they've been going for a number of years. You can see the 70s looking PUMA GTE that's also in this pack that I will be videoing at a later date. And this is their modern race car. So it's small, it's reasonably light, it's reasonably nimble, and it puts me in the mind of Mazda MX-5 or Miata, depending on what part of the world you're in. And it's kind of their answer to that sort of car. Now, if memory serves me correct, it's not that good on the brakes either. If memory serves me correct, I think I said as much in my last video when we drove the AMS version. But I don't know anything about the Real World Series or car, so basically Automobilista has exposed me to this manufacturer for the very first time, which is really cool, and it's something I really love about sim racing, that it does things like that. And I can only assume that the championship in which it runs feels like it should be, I would imagine, a Clubman National Series type category. So and as such, the car behaves in such a way that one would expect for an entry level or accessible to all type of racing series. It's pretty consistent. It's pretty well planted. It's a fairly stable drive, but at the same time, it's a kind of car that lets you concentrate on driving it rather than racing it, should I say, rather than driving the wheels off it and trying to keep it on the circuit. It's not the fastest machine in the world, but you can see from this video it's got enough ponies under the hood to give us an enjoyable enough racing experience, that's for sure. I mean, these are, to be honest, my kinds of car. I like lower horsepower, I like things that are touring car-esque. So this one, theoretically, ticks all the boxes for me. And in reality, does so as well. It's a car that you want to get out and race. And the R-Factor 2 and the Automobilista version both allow you very much to do that with cherries on top. The brakes are atrocious, really stamping down on the slow pedal. Still, I'm not braking early enough for the corners. It really doesn't want to stop. It certainly doesn't want to lock the tyres. So you have to apply a little bit of common sense and caution. It's the kind of car that these are, kind of like any kind of car like this, it's all about keeping it neat and smooth, being economical with your inputs, both on the pedals and on the wheel, as I give him a little bit of space into the Tamburello chicane. And I hope we've got him. Oh man, situations like this, I miss having a VR headset on, or some kind of Helicorsa type app, so I can see if I've got any overlap with the cars around me before committing to the corner. Here we go, 3 wide into the hairpin. Nearly called it chicane then, but it's not a chicane, it's a hairpin pole. Wow, I'm still tired, by the way. I'm recording this on Monday evening, late on Monday evening, the weekend after the first Formula 1 Grand Prix of the season. So I got up at 3:30 in the morning and did not go back to bed, and I've been at work all day and just recorded a podcast. So yeah, I'm tired. Bear with me on this one, guys. We'll see if we can actually get through a token drive video today without crashing the car. That'd be a nice novelty, wouldn't it? Don't know what I'd do if I did a token drive without going off. Very exciting. But it's a kind of car that makes it hard to crash, if I'm honest. Apart from now as I rear end the guy because I've got rubbish brakes. Rubbish. Rubbish, I tell you. That's not a crash. That's contact with another car. That doesn't count in the statement that I've just made. Yeah, it's the kind of car that's very difficult to spin, I suppose, or to do anything wildly wrong with it, because it's stable. It's a nice, easy to drive, straightforward, consistent, simple car. There's no trickery to driving one of these. There's not something that you particularly need to have a stunning amount of special skills in order to get around the track. You have to remember that the brakes are pretty atrocious, but other than that, you're a way to go. Now, I suspect this is a sequential shifting car. I don't know in real life. I'm using floppy paddles at the moment purely because I've got floppy paddles set in my last video and I forgot to change it back, basically. So I'm using flappies, but I am doing heel and toe just to add a little bit more authenticity to it. And it feels like the kind of car that enjoys engine braking. you really need that to complement what are not the most powerful brakes in the whole of the motorsport industry. So engine braking is your friend. Matching the revs to your gear shift will help you drive this car quickly. As you saw on the last lap coming into the final couple of corners, I didn't engine brake into there and I very, very quickly ran out of stopping power. But I'm not going to make that mistake again. We're going to use the gearbox to our advantage when doing this little race around Imola. So, the car. Just like the AMS version, the Automobilista Racing Simulation or Automobilista Motorsport Simulator, that's the one. Took a while to remember what it was and to associate the letters with the words. But just like the AMS version, it comes with a number of different liveries. Of course, I fully expect a skin set will be released by our wonderful community not long after the car gets released to the public, and it's part of a larger pack. So there's, in the Puma front, there's the P052 that we're driving now, there's the historic Puma GTE, there's the Formula V entry-level open-wheel training car almost really. Then there's the video of the car that we did last time out, which is the MCR Sport 2000, which is very much like a radical SR7 in its design and its behaviour as well, to be fair. Then there's the two biggies of the pack, which are the Metal Morrow AGR and the Metal Morrow MR18, which are prototype endurance race cars basically, but again from Brazil, so something maybe a lot of the viewers today will not be all that familiar with. So a little bit of something for everyone. You've got tin tops, open wheels, GT cars, and historic cars as well. So Reiza have done, in my opinion, a good job in thinking up a nice broad spectrum of different vehicles in which to race, and also some nice unique content that's not saturated in the sim racing market. Everyone's got a Porsche 911 now, but who's got a Puma P052? I hear you say. Well, two people now. Automobilista and R-Factor 2. And I think both sims are all the richer for it. So that's great news. And this is a great little car. Development since I first started driving the beta for these has come on no end. I wasn't particularly fond of the force feedback at all, to be perfectly honest, when I first drove this car. But now, the latest build version, it's really stepped up and it feels, for me, on a par with what I would expect from what is, quite frankly, my favourite simulator available so far today. But if you watched, I say but's not the right word, that makes you think I'm going to say something bad. However, if you watched my last video in the MCR Sport 2000 and my comments there on the way the force feedback is transferred to the end user, the same very much, but to a less pronounced degree, applies in this car as well. I suspect it's the way that Reiza are interpreting the physics engine and the way that the car and the steering wheel interact with the sim. But this feels a little bit different to similar content produced by Studio 397. And again, just like the MCR Sport 2000, it feels much more driven to me on what the tyres are doing. And that's really good. Just like the MCR Sport 2000, that gives me a different feeling behind the wheel, and it takes a little bit of getting used to, but once you do, it really is a very rich force feedback experience. I mean, we know Renato and Nils and anybody else that's involved over at Reiza in designing physics for that sim. We know they're damn good at what they do. In fact, they're masters at what they do. So it's no surprising that the physics on this feel massively, way too late. Even a bit of wild engine braking. Golden rule, let me go past. No advantage here gained. Go on, get past, son. There you go. yeah, it's no surprising that it's not surprising even that the physics are of the highest quality. But it does take a little bit of getting used to in a really nice way, and I like it. I have grown very attached to these little cars in my time that I've had with them. I can feel now more what the car is doing with its tyres than I've ever been able to feel before in a similar such vehicle. Now I know this is a much more basic car than the current R-Factor 2 gold standard that is the GT3s. It is a lot more basic car, it's got a lot less trickery, it's a lot less racy than, let's say, the Aston Martin or the Porsche 911 GT3 RS or anything like that, GT3R sorry, or anything like that. But it's behaving in a very natural way now for me, for what I would expect something of this kind to behave like. Apart from these god-awful brakes, that's gonna take some take some getting used to. But yeah, it's telling me quite a lot of feedback in the corners as to what the car's doing. But it's certainly on my wheel, at least on my SimCube direct drive wheel, it's almost a little bit springy in the force feedback at the moment, and I think some people might not like that. I've got used to it now. I wouldn't say it was something I'd absolutely choose to have, but when you get used to it, it becomes quite natural. But I think my best advice to sim racers when they first try this pack, for all of the cars, give it some time before making your own personal judgment on how you think it feels, because it is different to what you're used to. Whether that's different good or different bad, only you will be able to decide after suitable amounts of mileage in the car. But it's definitely, it's different. And I quite like it. It's still, this is early whip, so there is still early beta, should I say, so there is still a massively high percentage chance that things will change before you get it, and everything I could be saying could very much be obsolete by the time you lay your hands on it yourself. There's still no exact release date as to when these cars, as I broke a little bit too early then for fear of running wide, there's still no exact release date as to when these cars will be ready, and Reiza expect them to be released, to be in a completed beta stage by the end of the week that we're currently in. So another 4 days yet for yet more changes to pop up and be applied. So these are the other cars in the pack. So at the moment I really like the force feedback on this. I really like the force feedback on the MCR 2000 as well. I've not tried the any other cars apart from the Formula V and the current build. I still don't like the Formula V. It's still, the force feedback feels like it's telling me absolutely nothing. It's too light and not communicating anything of what the car does with my setup and in my opinion. So I'll be curious to see if that changes any before release day comes upon us. But for these cars, certainly, I'm loving it. And I'm loving the cars. I just like the content matter. I like this sort of cars. Can we make it? Yes. Nice. Well done, Paul, if I do say so myself. I like these kinds of cars, so it really helps no end when I'm forming an opinion on it, because this is my sort of bag, is this kind of thing. And that's going to be enough of the cars for now. We'll come back to that in a little while. But I want to talk about this wonderful ribbon of tarmac on which we are racing at the moment. This, for the eagle-eyed of you will tell, is Imola. The 2018 facelifted version of Imola, once home of the Formula 1 San Marino Grand Prix, I think it was, back in the day, and also sadly the venue that took the life of Ayrton Senna in this corner here, although it was the old Tamburello very fast left-hander, which has been remodelled following Senna's death into the chicane that we've gone through, However, you can still get your Tamburello kicks in the 1972 version of Imola. That's also included in the pack. And again, I will do a separate video, probably in the Puma GTEs, because they're the historic content of this DLC. So we'll do that another day and talk about that. That's a beautiful track, by the way. But Imola's always been a track, despite its troubled history, that I've loved. And I think the version that Reiza Studios have come up with here is beautiful. It's a really, really good quality version of Imola. The track flows wonderfully. It feels right when you're driving it. It looks beautiful, and of course it's rFactor 2, so it works with all the usual goodies like real road and wet weather conditions. It takes advantage of all the latest tech basically that's come within rFactor 2, and it's massively pleasing to see Imola become part of the official content batch for rF2. I love rFactor 2, as I said before. In fact, to be fair, I love pretty much all racing simulators, but one of my biggest complaints for rFactor 2 is the lack of high quality circuits. So to see an internationally renowned venue such as Imola, that's good for all different kinds of content, for fast open wheelers, GT cars, for slower vehicles like this, it works with pretty much everything. It's just one of those classic circuits. I am absolutely cock-a-hoop about this track coming to rFactor 2 as part of the Reiza DLC. Really awesome news. And the fact that this is one of the extra bonus tracks that was announced after the DLC was first revealed is all the better. This is basically a free addition to the pack. We know mental's that. You get Virginia International Raceway in its 5, I think, different configurations, and Imola as a free bonus. Only Reiza can do that, so I doff my hat, my pretending invisible hat to you gentlemen at Reiza Studios. Very cool move. Very excited to see it in rFactor 2. And of course, we're looking at the new Reiza bundled DLC content, so it's only natural that I race said new content. But this is a great addition, as are all of the circuits. But this is a great addition for the other content that's in rF2 as well. GT3 cars round here are supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. So really, really good. But they all are. The Brazilian tracks, Iberra and Giapore, again, really fantastic additions to the sim. And everybody wins. rFactor 2 fans get a whole armful of really good quality new tracks. Reiza Studios potentially get to put their content in front of a new audience. So winner winner chicken dinner for all concerned. Now since we did our last video, the pricing's been confirmed of the new DLC, so you're looking at 20 quid for all cars, all tracks in all their different versions. Let's see if we can do some quick maths. We've got Iberra, Giapore, 2 configurations are each, that's 4 tracks. Imola 2018, Imola 72, that's 6 tracks. VIR in 5 different formats, so that makes 11 tracks. Then we've nearly went off then. It's okay, we got it. How many did I say? 11 tracks. Imola, Giapore, VIR, Iberra. That's all of them, isn't it? So that's 11 different circuit variants. Awesome news. Really, really chuffed by that. And the quality on all of them is absolutely fantastic as well. In all different weather and all different time of day conditions. I've not spent much time in the rain, I must admit, in sim yet. I just kinda turn it on just to see if it works and what it looks like, etc. So I've stuck to, for consistency and giving you a good view of everything, I've stuck to the default time of day conditions as chosen by the sim. So I think if memory serves me right, that's 4 PM that we're racing on a sunny but slightly cloudy day here today. I will do another video in the rain in one of the cars at some stage, so watch out on the RD Twitch and YouTube channels for those in the not too distant future, because rF2 do a very good job of wet weather conditions, so I'm looking forward to putting that one together for you. But as we start to come to the end of our little race, a few bits of details about what we're doing. We're racing the AI. We've got it on 97% AI difficulty. I've got all the as factory standard gubbins on the car, so manual gearbox, but as I said earlier, I'm using flappy paddles but still doing heel and toe rather than the gearbox because of the oversight on my part. And let me tell you, doing heel and toe with flappy paddles is weird, and that'll take that has taken a little bit of getting used to, but I've taken mechanical damage off, which is probably a good thing, because I reckon I've more than likely buzzed this engine on more than one occasion. But never mind, try and get a switchback, and the back end just wants to step away from us as we're a little bit too aggressive, and that's the key for these cars. Don't be too aggressive. It's almost a case, but not quite, of like you're driving in the rain. You want to be very gentle, you want to encourage it into the corners, you want to coax it into what it's doing rather than abuse it and be hard and heavy handed with your inputs. See there, I just got a little bit of back end slide, but use that just to rotate us slightly into the corner, and they're really good fun to drive. They're really well put together. The 3D model is very nice, as you can see for yourself. The cockpit's reasonably basic, if I'm honest. It's not the most spectacular visual experience, but Reiza are renowned for their massively detailed Assetto Corsa-esque internals, and neither is rF2, so it's what one would expect from these two content creators. Not spectacular, but not horrendous either, just functional, does the job. I mean, bad example anyway, because this is a very basic cockpit in this car, as it is. It's a very basic car by the looks of it, in general. Am I clear? Yes. It's a very simple, very old school racing car in that regard. It's got what it needs to go quickly and nothing more. Oh, I've been took. No, we've got the overlap, we're okay. We'll take that position back. We're unlucky for some. P13 in the last few minutes of the race. But I've not crashed. Yes, I haven't crashed. There is time still for that one. I think in the last video I actually thought I'd finished the race and was too busy talking garbage and not concentrating and managed to spin on the last lap. So we're not safe yet, peeps. Let's see if we can do it. Word of note, certainly at this version anyway, as I say, I've got a DD wheel. For the best force feedback experience, I found it wise to lower the force feedback multiplier of this car. I think I'm running it on 64 at the moment, and that's been a bit of a theme with this DLC. I've had to do a little bit of raising and lowering to get the best experience with my current hardware setup. And on this occasion, as I say, this one, about 64, I've lowered it to. And frankly, I think even at that, it might still be a little bit on the tough side to turn. It's good, and it's perfect for if I wanted to race offline. I would lower it to prevent fatigue if racing an online club race at RaceDepartment.com, or ideally, for doing this video, trying to talk and not look too flustered at the same time. Almost fell foul of our lack of any kind of serious stopping power, but I like to say I judged that almost perfection, but in reality I looked out of near certain disaster. So yeah, I mean, that pretty much sums up this car. It's a wonderful piece of kit in what I fully expect to be a very well received DLC in general. And I said it last time, and I'll say it again, and I say it to Renato every time I speak to him, and he's always very professional and coy in his response. I hope this is the first of many DLCs from Reiza for rFactor 2. I think the model of bringing content to a now fully bringing content from a well-regarded sim such as AMS that's now finished its development cycle as Reiza move on to their next title. So giving it a new lease of life in a game such as rFactor that needs more and more content for it to continue its very impressive trajectory of growth in recent months. It's a very good model, and I mean, for me, I'm a crowdfunder backer, and also, sorry, not also at all, I'm a Reiza crowdfunding bonanza, sim racing bonanza backer, so this content to me is free anyway, and comes for free to anybody else who's in the crowdfunding package or is a part of the content season pass that was available from Reiza Studios up until very recently. So that comes for free, but if you're not involved in either of those two packages, it's 20 quid for the lot. I think, what did we say, 11 track configurations, a whole bucket load of awesome quality cars, and it's supporting two incredibly good development studios. So it's money well spent as far as I'm concerned. Worth every penny of that 20 quid. It's really top stuff. So I hope you guys, when the time comes, get involved and enjoy it as much as I've enjoyed it, because if you have, then yeah, you'll be very happy people indeed. And that's it, the checker flag's out, we've not crashed. Well done people. So yeah, there we go. This has been the latest Talk and Drive video on RaceDepartment. It's been the PUMA P052 as part of the Reiza Bundle DLC for rFactor 2. As ever, I've been Paul Jeffrey, and I am exceptionally grateful for the time you've taken to watch this video. Please do give me a like and a subscribe on our Twitch and YouTube channel. Follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and come visit us at RaceDepartment.com, the world's largest sim racing website. We have over 1.5 million visits per month, and we would love for you to be another one of those people that come and enjoy blurring the lines between real and virtual motorsport. So until next time, sim racing is absolutely awesome. I've been Paul. Stay safe, catch you later. Ta-ra.